Welcome everyone to this new episode of the Privacy Rules PrivacyEspresso podcast, a series where we delve into the latest news on privacy, data protection, and cybersecurity from all over the world with experts of the Privacy Rules Alliance. My name is Alessandro Di Mattia. I'm the director of the Privacy Rules Alliance, and today with me I have Markus Lauber from the Wizlynx Group, in order to discuss together about NIS2 and security assessment under it. So thanks a lot, Markus, for being with us today.
Thank you, Alessandro, for the opportunity to be here as well.
It's a pleasure, and as you might know, the PrivacyEspresso series is very short, so I would like to immediately start with some question, but before doing that, a bit of context. So why do you believe IT security is so important in the context of NIS2?
The NIS2 Directive aims to enhance the cybersecurity across the European Union. It expands the scope of the previous regulations to include more sectors and sets higher standards for many organizations.
Okay, I see. And whenever we speak about NIS2, one of the first thing we hear about is IT security assessment in the context of NIS2. So can you tell us how do you in your team at Wizlynx conduct those type of assessments? What do they contain?
An IT security assessment is a systematic process. It identifies and evaluates the vulnerabilities in an organization's information system. Under NIS2, the organizations must establish risk management practices and implement state-of-the-art IT security measures. Wizlynx conducts this assessment based on recognized security standards and frameworks, which is, for example, OWASP testing guide, which focus on the security of web and API applications, or the penetration testing execution standard, the PTES, which is a standard for conducting penetration tests. This approach ensures a thorough evaluation of the IT infrastructure to identify and address the vulnerabilities.
Okay, so there are some activities to run under it, which is very interesting to know also in terms of what do you conduct and how many times normally organizations should be conducting those type of assessments in your view?
Yeah. The regular assessments are really essential. NIS2 requires a proactive security approach, meaning companies should test their systems at least annually or after major changes. Continuous monitoring helps detect threats early and minimize the risks.
Okay, that's very important. So let's underline that at least in your experience, companies should, as a minimum, conduct those type of activities once per year, or whenever you make a relevant change. That's my understanding. It's really essential. And in your experience, by conducting those type of assessments, which are the key challenges that companies face when implementing them?
I guess the first problem is the compelling reason to act. If there is no stress to do it, if the regulations are delaying as they do at the moment, if nobody's pressing, nobody will move. After all, many organizations struggle to determine where to start. They often lack the necessary internal expertise or the resources to conduct thorough security evaluation. Another challenge is the coordination between the IT management and the compliance. Some companies also underestimate the time and the effort required to implement and maintain security measures. External experts can help bridge these gaps and ensure an effective assessment process.
I see. There are various elements to be identified and considered, and I think one of the key points you were underlying is the time which is required to conduct the assessment and to ensure compliance. So every time companies might be underestimating this a bit, and then there is always this final rush, which is not good for good reports and good results. And in this regard, one of the many questions that we often hear by people that are not expert in the field is we do already have firewalls or antivirus software. So why do we need additional measures like those assessments?
The threat landscape is constantly changing and evolving. The traditional security measures like the firewalls and the antivirus software you mentioned provide a basic protection. Mm-hmm. However, they are often insufficient against modern complex attacks. NIS2 requires organizations to continually review and adapt their cybersecurity measures to address the new threats as well.
I see. And as an additional layer of, let's say, additional protection, and another thing that we hear a lot about is the cyber insurance. And in this regard, one of the key questions that we might discuss about is why don't we keep just the cyber insurance policies? So can really such policies really fully protect an organization also from the financial perspective when there is an impact of a cyber attack? What's your experience in this regard?
A lot of firms, organizations do have cybersecurity insurance, and they believe that they're covered for everything. The fact is that it can cover costs related to the data recovery, IT forensic, or business interruptions. However, these policies have limitations and do not cover all the risks. Therefore, it is crucial to implement preventive security measures to minimize the risk of cyber attacks. If you have had a cyber attack, no assurance will cover your loss of image and the loss of confidence of your clients or your suppliers or your employees.
Indeed, reputational damage is one of the big issues related to this field, and of course, in order to get the insurance, you need also to achieve a certain level of security, which can be achieved just if you implement the measures that are required by those insurances, which is extremely important, of course. And I believe that another one of the key problems in the sector is the one of human error. We tend to identify, whatever is related to cybersecurity just to a great, super good, hacker on the other side of the screen. But sometimes the real problem, or probably you will tell me many times, the real problem is that is the human side of the defense of a company, and the error might come from there. What about human error in your view, Markus?
Next, the three potential vectors, the human is the most important one. We can check the IT technology, we can check the processes, but we know from experience that between 60 and 80% of the breaches are based on human error, on failure to behave like expected. So the phishing,
it's an high number.
It's a really high number. It's a terrible good business for attackers, especially Switzerland, especially Europe. This is a really good business.
I see.
We do want to do something against that. So we do phishing attacks to trick employees into giving access to attackers. Regular security awareness trainings will help reduce these risks and increase the maturity of the employees against potential cyber attacks.
Okay, I believe that's an interesting thing when you simulate phishing attacks. We are just to give you an example to our audience, we're speaking about cases where someone from your team send an email with a wrong link, let's say, in it, pushing the person to click on it, and then at the end of a certain time frame, you have a report on how many of the employees have been clicking on the link they should not have been clicking, which is a good way to also teach them. Okay, next time you receive an email like this, please avoid to fall in the scam. There are many ways in which attackers do that, so please make sure to be in touch with experts like Markus to make sure that your team is prepared to those type of attacks, because it's not just about email at the end of the day. So there is an entire world behind these, which brings me to my next point, Markus. One of the key elements we've been discussing whenever we're working under NIS2 is the so-called holistic approach. There are a broad variety of expertise and services that are needed in order to make sure that there is a good level of security. And in this regard, my point would be into one particularly, which is governance, risk management, and compliance. We all know about GRC and GRC platforms. How do you involve these into NIS2 projects in your experience?
As cybersecurity is not just a technical challenge, it's not an IT thing. It affects the entire organization. NIS2 places a special emphasis on supply chain security and requires us organizations to assess the cybersecurity of their suppliers. Therefore, all relevant departments in a company must collaborate to develop and implement a comprehensive cybersecurity strategy in collaboration.
Okay, and in this collaboration context, how does risk management fit into the approach related to NIS2 compliance?
The risk management helps to identify and prioritize threats. It ensures that the security investments focus on the most critical risks. Without a structured risk approach, organizations may overlook key vulnerabilities and or spend money on place where it doesn't help.
I see. So it's a key part of the process, meaning that is the best way to identify the key risk and from where to start and to plan things in the right direction so that you address the vulnerabilities or the issues that might appear in the right way, so that you immediately start securing the most vulnerable point of your company. I totally see the point. And in this regard, the other subject we mentioned, which is more from my side, is the legal one. So what about legal support and legal compliance in your experience?
Legal teams help to avoid fines and legal consequences. Clear policies and contracts strengthen cybersecurity accountability across the supply chains. That's the reason why legal departments play an important role in the NIS2 compliance process.
I absolutely agree, and I thank you also for sharing these. One of the key things that we used to say under the legal perspective as a lawyer myself is that you need, of course, the technical expert to conduct all the activities, but at the end we are speaking about legal framework. So in order to comply with them, all the documentation and all the activities must be done following certain steps or certain rules that are identified by the law. And of course, you need just the support and supervision sometimes by those experts to make sure that everything you do is done in the way which is required by the law or the framework, in this case, the directive of NIS2. Markus, I would like to thank a lot you for giving us this overview on how to comply with NIS2. I would go with my last question on the very practical side of it. So in your experience, what should organizations do now in order to become NIS2 compliant?
So organizations should first determine if they're affected by the NIS2 directive. We do not make the assessment just because the directive. It is in the favor of the company. It helps the business of the company. Everybody should conduct a comprehensive IT security assessment to identify the vulnerabilities. The test for the NIS2 is just the goal, the final line you have to pass. Based on this, they can develop and implement an action plan, and it is advisable to involve external experts to ensure all requirements are met.
Of course. So let's start as soon as possible. And as you let me underline one of your points, Markus. It is not just about NIS2 compliance. It's really about security of the company and the personal data and non-personal data that are inside of it. So about your security and your investments in terms of time and money being protected. NIS2 at the very end is just giving us a final exam or a target to achieve for security, but there should have been already this type of attention. Now Europe is making it even more, relevant, but it's always been important for any company that wanted to be secured and to protect its information. Markus, I would like to thank you very much for those valuable insights today. I, of course, would like to thank our listeners for being with us, and I would like to invite any of them whenever they have an issue related to cybersecurity, but in particular related to complying with frameworks like NIS2, as well as other like DORA, to contact us, contact Privacy Rules, contact Wizlynx, me or Markus, whoever of us will be more than happy to support you with the process. And as Markus said, the sooner you involve, a group, a team of external experts that can support you, the better, so that we can streamline the process in the right way in your own interest as well. So thank you again for your time. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Markus. Very much looking forward to meet you all to the next Privacy Espresso episode. Bye, everyone, and bye, Markus, again.
Bye.